The morning sky over New York looked wrong. Instead of blue, it was filled with massive, silver shapes that blocked out the sun. The alien ships hung in the air like metal mountains, silent and terrible. People on the streets stopped walking and stared up with their mouths open. Some screamed. Others just stood there, not believing what they saw. Sarah Chun was drinking coffee in her lab when the first ship appeared. She was a scientist who studied space rocks and metals. Her coffee cup fell from her hands and broke on the floor when she saw the enormous craft through her window. It was bigger than any building she had ever seen. The metal looked like crystal and mirror mixed together, shining with its own light. Around the world, 12 ships just like it appeared over major cities. They came without warning, without any message. The ships were beautiful in a scary way, covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Strange blue lights pulsed along their sides like a heartbeat. The world's armies moved fast. Fighter jets screamed through the sky, firing missiles at the alien ships. The missiles hit the strange metal and exploded, but the ships did not even shake. Tank rounds bounced off like raindrops. Nuclear submarines fired their biggest weapons. From the oceans, nothing worked. The alien ships had shields that made human weapons look like toys, but the aliens did not attack right away. They just waited, hanging in the sky like sleeping giants. For 6 hours, they did nothing while Earth's military threw everything they had at them. Then, finally, they responded. The attack was swift and terrible. Beams of pure energy shot down from the ships, cutting through buildings like they were made of paper. The beams were not like lasers or fire. They were something else, something that made the air itself scream. Where the beams touched, metal turned to dust and concrete became glass. Fighter jets exploded in midair before their pilots even saw what hit them. Battleships split in half and sank in minutes. The alien weapons could reach anywhere on Earth in seconds. They destroyed military bases, airports, and space stations. In 2 hours, they wiped out most of humanity's ability to fight back. The aliens had technology that humans could barely understand. Their ships could bend space around them, making attacks slide off to the side. They had gravity weapons that could crush tanks into balls of metal. Their computers were faster than anything humans had ever built. They seemed impossible to defeat, but something strange happened during the battle. The biggest alien ship, the one over San Francisco, started to shake. Smoke poured from holes in its side. The other ships moved to help it, but they were damaged too. Human weapons might have been weak, but there were so many of them. Every missile that hit, every bullet that struck, every explosion that touched the alien shields took away a little bit of their power. The aliens had expected an easy fight. They thought humans would give up after seeing their ships. Instead, humans kept fighting even when it looked hopeless. They sent wave after wave of attacks, never stopping, never surrendering. Pilots flew their jets straight into the alien ships. When they ran out of missiles, soldiers on the ground kept firing their guns even when they knew it would not work. The alien ships were strong, but they were not built for this kind of fight. They were made to scare enemies into giving up, not to fight a species that refused to quit. Their shields started to flicker. Their weapons began to overheat. Warning lights flashed inside their ships as systems failed one by one. The big ship over San Francisco was the first to fall. It dropped from the sky like a falling mountain, breaking apart as it fell. Pieces of alien metal crashed into the city, each piece bigger than a building. The ship's main body hit the ground with a sound, like thunder that lasted for minutes. The impact created a crater 10 miles wide and sent shock waves around the world. The other alien ships saw their flagship fall and knew they were in trouble. Their weapons were damaged. Their shields were failing. Many of their crew were dead or hurt. Earth's defenses were destroyed, but the cost had been too high. The aliens had won the battle, but they could not stay to rule their victory. One by one, the remaining ships limped away from Earth. They moved slowly, trailing smoke and sparks. Their crystal hulls were cracked and blackened. The proud fleet that had arrived that morning was now a collection of broken Dying ships barely able to reach space. The last alien ship disappeared among the stars. Humans began to understand what had happened. The aliens had been too confident. They had brought a small fleet to conquer what they thought was a weak planet. They had not expected humans to fight so hard that the victory would cost them everything. Sarah Chun stood at the edge of the crater where San Francisco used to be. The alien ship's wreckage stretched out before her like a metal landscape. Parts of the ship were still glowing with strange energy. The crystal sections pulsed with faint lights, as if they were still alive somehow. All around the crater, people were already working. Engineers studied the alien metal. Scientists took samples of the strange materials. Soldiers guarded the wreckage from anyone who might want to steal pieces of it. Even though the city was gone and millions were dead, humans were not thinking about giving up. They were thinking about learning. "Look at this," one of the engineers called out. He was standing next to a piece of hull that was the size of a house. "This metal is like nothing we have ever seen. It is stronger than steel but lighter than aluminum, and it still has power running through it somehow." Sarah walked over to examine the piece. When she touched it, the metal felt warm and seemed to vibrate slightly. Inside the crystal parts, she could see tiny lights moving around like trapped lightning. This was not just wreckage. This was technology beyond anything humans had ever imagined. Other impact sites around the world were the same. In London, pieces of an alien engine were still running, creating small gravity fields that made objects float in the air. In Tokyo, part of a weapon system was buried in the ground, its energy readings off the charts. In Moscow, scientists found what looked like a computer the size of a building, still processing information in languages no human could read. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had not just underestimated human fighting spirit. They had left behind the keys to their own technology. Every piece of wreckage was a lesson waiting to be learned. Every broken system was a puzzle that human engineers were already trying to solve. As night fell over the crater, Sarah Chun looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the surviving aliens were probably planning their next attack. They would come back with more ships, better weapons, and stronger shields. But when they returned, they would not find the same helpless planet they had left behind. They would find a world that had learned from their technology. A world that had turned their wreckage into something new and dangerous. The aliens had given humanity the greatest gift possible without knowing it. They had given them a chance to become something more than human. The war was not over, it had just begun. And next time, Earth would be ready. 5 years had passed since the alien ships fell from the sky. Earth looked like a completely different world now. Where cities once stood, massive pieces of alien metal rose from the ground like strange mountains. The wreckage was everywhere. In the Amazon jungle, crystal formations the size of skyscrapers grew out of crashed engine parts. In the Sahara Desert, broken alien computers created fields of glowing sand that could be seen from space. Most people would look at the destruction and feel sad. Humans looked at it and saw opportunity. Sarah Chun was no longer just a scientist studying rocks. She was now the head of the Global Salvage Project, the biggest operation in human history. Every day, thousands of people worked to take apart the alien ships piece by piece. They cut through metal that was harder than diamond. They studied computers that thought faster than any human brain. They learned how weapons that could destroy mountains actually worked. The work was dangerous. Sometimes pieces of alien technology would explode without warning. Other times, touching the wrong part would give people electric shocks that could kill them. Strange radiation leaked from broken engines, making people sick, but humans kept working anyway. They had learned something important from the invasion. The aliens would come back someday, and Earth needed to be ready. Marcus Rivera was in charge of the biggest salvage site in North America. It was built around the main piece of the alien flagship that had crashed in San Francisco. The wreckage was so huge that it took an hour to walk from one end to the other. Thousands of workers lived in camps around the site, working day and night to understand the alien technology. "We found something new today," Marcus told Sarah as they walked through the salvage site. Around them, giant cranes lifted pieces of alien metal while scientists in protective suits took measurements and notes. It is in the deepest part of the ship, something that is still alive. Sarah felt her heart beat faster. In 5 years of studying the wreckage, they had found many amazing things. Metals that could fix themselves when broken. Crystals that stored more energy than nuclear power plants. Computers that seemed to think and dream. But they had never found anything that was actually alive. They rode an elevator down into the ship's core. The walls around them were made of the strange crystal material that the aliens loved to use. As they went deeper, the crystals began to glow brighter. Sarah could hear a soft humming sound like distant music. At the bottom of the elevator, they walked through hallways that had not been built for humans. The ceilings were too high and the doors were too wide. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in the darkness. The air smelled like ozone and something else that Sarah could not identify. "It is in here," Marcus said, stopping in front of a door that was bigger than any they had seen. The door was covered in crystal patterns that pulsed with light like a heartbeat. When they opened it, Sarah gasped. The room beyond was enormous, bigger than a football stadium. In the center was something that looked like a tree made of crystal and metal. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Branches of glowing crystal reached up to the ceiling, while roots of twisted metal went down into the floor. And it was moving very slowly, but definitely moving, like it was breathing. "What is it?" Sarah whispered. Dr. Kim Park, the team's expert on alien computers, was already taking readings with his instruments. "I think it is the ship's brain," he said, his voice full of excitement and fear. "Not just a computer, but something that thinks and feels." The whole ship was controlled by this thing. As they watched, lights moved through the crystal branches like blood flowing through veins. The patterns were complex and beautiful, constantly changing. Sometimes the lights would pulse faster, as if the thing was excited or scared. Other times, they would slow down, like it was thinking about something important. "It is trying to communicate," Dr. Park said, checking his readings. "Look at these patterns. They are not random. It is sending signals, trying to talk to something." Sarah stepped closer to the crystal tree. As she did, the lights began to pulse faster. She reached out her hand toward one of the lower branches. The moment her fingers touched the crystal, her mind exploded with images and sounds. She saw the alien fleet as it had been before the battle. Proud ships flying through space, their crews confident that Earth would surrender without a fight. She felt their surprise when humans refused to give up. She experienced their growing fear as their ships were damaged and their friends were killed. And finally she felt their pain as they realized they had made a terrible mistake. But there was more. The crystal tree was not just the brain of one ship. It was connected to all the other alien ships that had been destroyed. Through quantum signals that moved faster than light, it could talk to the wreckage scattered all over Earth, every piece of alien metal, every broken computer, every damaged weapon was still connected to this central mind. Sarah pulled her hand away, gasping. The images faded, but she could still feel a presence in her mind. The alien intelligence was not hostile. It was curious about humans, trying to understand why they had fought so hard against impossible odds. "We need to study this more," she said, her voice shaking. "But carefully, this is not just a computer we can take apart. It is a living mind." Over the next months, teams of scientists worked to understand the crystal tree and its connection to the wreckage around the world. They learned that the alien technology was not like human machines. Instead of being built, it was grown. The ships had been living creatures in a way, with the crystal brain controlling every part of their bodies. The breakthrough came when Dr. Park figured out how to safely connect human computers to the alien network. For the first time, humans could actually talk to the alien intelligence. The conversation was slow and difficult, like trying to speak through a bad phone connection. But slowly, they began to understand each other. The alien mind told them about the galaxy beyond Earth. It showed them star maps with thousands of worlds, many of them controlled by the same empire that had attacked Earth, It explained how their technology worked, sharing secrets that human scientists had been trying to figure out for years, but the most important thing it shared was a warning. The alien empire knew that Earth had defeated their first fleet. They were building a second fleet, much bigger and stronger than the first. This time they would not underestimate humanity. They would bring enough ships to destroy Earth completely. The alien intelligence had been part of the empire for thousands of years, but something had changed when it experienced human determination during the battle. It had felt something it had never felt before, respect for an enemy that refused to surrender. Now it wanted to help humanity survive the coming war. Working together, humans and the alien intelligence began to design new technologies. They took the best parts of human creativity and alien science and mixed them together. The results were amazing: energy weapons that could cut through any material, engines that could fold space and time, shields that could turn an enemy's attacks back on them. But the most important discovery was how to connect human minds to alien computers. Volunteers began testing brain implants that would let them control alien technology with their thoughts. It was dangerous, and some of the early tests failed. But the people who succeeded became something new, part human, part machine, able to think faster and see farther than any normal person. Sarah was one of the first to volunteer for the procedure. When she woke up after the surgery, the world looked completely different. She could see radio waves in the air like colored light. She could feel the heartbeat of every computer in the facility. Most amazing of all, she could sense the alien intelligence like a friend standing next to her, ready to share its knowledge. "How do you feel?" Dr. Park asked her. Sarah smiled. "Like I can see the future," she said, "and it is going to be amazing." Around the world, other salvage sites were making similar discoveries. In Russia, engineers had learned how to build materials that could change shape with a thought. In Japan, scientists had created energy sources that could power entire cities. In Brazil, military experts had figured out how to make weapons that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Humanity was no longer just scavenging alien technology. They were improving it, making it better than it had ever been. When the aliens returned, they would find Earth defended by weapons built from their own designs but powered by human determination and creativity. The second invasion was coming. But this time, Earth would be ready to fight back. 10 years after the first invasion, something incredible was happening deep underground in Switzerland. In the tunnels that once held the world's largest particle accelerator, human scientists and alien intelligence were creating something that had never existed before. They called it the Terran Collective, and it would change everything. Elena Vasquez stood outside the medical bay, her hands shaking slightly. She was a fighter pilot who had survived the first alien attack. During that battle, she had watched her squadron get destroyed by alien weapons while her missiles bounced harmlessly off their shields. Now she was about to become something that could fight back on equal terms. "Are you ready?" Dr. Sarah Chun asked. Sarah looked different now than she had 10 years ago. The alien technology connected to her brain made her eyes glow with a faint blue light. She could process information faster than any computer and see patterns that normal humans missed. But she was still human, still caring about the people around her. Elena nodded. She had volunteered to be part of the new integration program. The alien intelligence had learned how to safely connect human minds to its quantum network. People who went through the process became living bridges between human creativity and alien logic. They kept their personalities and memories but gained abilities that seemed like magic. The medical room looked like something from a science fiction movie. Crystal formations grew from the walls, pulsing with soft light. Cables made of liquid metal connected human computers to alien processing units. In the center was a chair that looked like it was grown rather than built, its surface covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Elena lay down in the chair and felt the alien technology begin to work. Tiny cables, thinner than human hair, extended from the chair and touched her skin. She felt a slight tingling sensation as they found the right nerves and began to make connections. The process was supposed to be painless, but Elena could feel something changing deep inside. Her mind thought at first nothing seemed different. Then, slowly, she began to notice new things. She could hear the electrical signals from the computers around her. She could sense the quantum vibrations that held atoms together. Most amazing of all, she could feel the presence of other people. Connected to the network, their thoughts and emotions touching hers like gentle whispers. "Elena, can you hear me?" Sarah's voice came not through her ears but directly into her mind. Yes, Elena thought back, amazed that she did not need to speak. This is incredible. I can feel everything. As the integration completed, Elena's perception of reality expanded dramatically. She could see far beyond the normal human range of light, watching radio waves dance through the air like ribbons of color. She could feel the magnetic field of the earth spinning beneath her feet. When she looked at the alien technology around her, she could understand how it worked just by observing it. But the most amazing change was her connection to the collective intelligence. Through the quantum network, she was linked to hundreds of other humans who had gone through the same process. She could share their knowledge, their skills, and their experiences. A doctor in Tokyo could instantly teach her about medicine. An engineer in London could show her how to build fusion reactors. A linguist in Cairo could help her understand alien languages. "Welcome to the collective," Sarah said, both speaking aloud and thinking the words. "You are now part of something bigger than any one person or species." The alien intelligence was there too, vast and ancient, but no longer hostile. During the 10 years since the invasion, it had learned to appreciate human qualities like stubbornness, creativity, and the refusal to accept defeat. In return, humans had learned from alien logic, precision, and their deep understanding of how the universe worked. Together, they had created technology that neither species could have developed alone. In secret facilities around the world, the collective was building weapons and defenses that combined the best of both worlds. Human intuition guided alien precision. Human creativity improved alien designs. Human determination powered alien technology. Elena's first assignment was to test pilot humanity's newest creation. The ship was called the Unity, and it was unlike anything that had ever flown. From the outside, it looked like it was made of liquid starlight, its hull constantly shifting between solid matter and pure energy. It was both human and alien, familiar and impossible at the same time. Walking onto the ship's bridge felt like stepping into a living creature. The walls pulsed gently with their own heartbeat. Controls grew from the floor when they were needed and melted away when they were not. The captain's chair seemed to recognize Elena and shaped itself to fit her perfectly. "Connect with the ship," Sarah instructed. "Let it become part of you." Elena placed her hands on the control surfaces and felt her consciousness expand even further. Suddenly, she was not just sitting in a ship, she was the ship. She could feel the quantum engines humming in her belly. She could sense the weapon system spreading through her body like nerves. Most incredibly, she could feel the ship's own artificial intelligence, a hybrid of human and alien, thought that was eager to fly. "Take us up," Sarah said. Elena did not need to press buttons or flip switches. She simply thought about rising, and the ship responded. They lifted off the landing pad so smoothly that Elena barely felt any movement. The ship's gravity control was perfect, making acceleration feel like floating on calm water. As they climbed through the atmosphere, Elena tested the ship's various systems. The shields were incredible. They did not just block attacks, they could absorb enemy energy and convert it into power for the ship's own weapons. The sensors could see across multiple dimensions, detecting threats that existed in parallel realities. The weapons themselves were terrifying. They could rewrite matter at the atomic level, turning enemy hulls into harmless gas. But the most amazing system was the ship's ability to exist in multiple places at once, using quantum principles that the alien intelligence had mastered long ago. The Unity could phase in and out of normal space. Enemy weapons would pass right through it while it remained able to attack them. "This is just the prototype," Sarah explained as they flew above the clouds. "We are building a whole fleet of ships like this." Each one is unique, grown rather than manufactured, with its own personality and abilities. Down on Earth, the changes were visible everywhere. Cities that had been destroyed during the invasion were being rebuilt with hybrid technology. Buildings grew from the ground like plants, their walls able to repair themselves when damaged. Transportation systems used gravity manipulation to move people and goods without any pollution. Power plants tapped directly into the quantum fabric of space, providing unlimited clean energy. The most important change was in the people themselves. Thousands of humans had joined the collective, gaining abilities that made them more than human while keeping their essential humanity. They could communicate instantly across any distance. They could process information at superhuman speeds. They could interface directly with any technology, making machines respond to their thoughts, but they were still human in the ways that mattered most. They still loved their families. They still told jokes and enjoyed music. They still felt joy and sadness and anger. The alien technology had made them more than they were before, but it had not made them less human. Elena landed the Unity back at the base, her mind buzzing with excitement. The ship had performed perfectly, responding to her thoughts faster than any normal pilot could react. She could imagine a whole fleet of such ships, crewed by collective pilots, defending Earth against any threat. "How long do we have?" she asked Sarah as they walked away from the ship. Sarah's expression grew serious. Through the quantum network, she could sense the alien intelligence's growing concern. Far out in space, the enemy empire was assembling a massive fleet for their second invasion of Earth. This time they were not taking any chances. They were bringing enough ships to burn every city and kill every human. 2 years, maybe 3, Sarah said. They are building ships specifically, designed to fight us. They know we have their technology now, so they are creating new weapons and defenses. When they come back, it will be with everything they have, Elena smiled grimly. Then we better make sure we are ready for them. Around the world, the collective was working day and night to prepare for the coming war. Factories that thought for themselves were building ships that could exist in multiple dimensions. Scientists who could process information like living computers were designing weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. Soldiers who could interface directly with their equipment were training for battles that would be fought across space and time. The aliens had made a critical mistake. 10 years ago, they had left their technology behind, thinking humans were too primitive to understand it. Now Earth was becoming something the galaxy had never seen before, a hybrid civilization that combined the best qualities of 2 very different species. When the aliens returned, they would not find the same helpless planet they had left behind. They would find a world that had learned from their technology, improved upon their designs, and created something entirely new. The prey had become the predator, and the galaxy would never be the same. The warning came at 3:47 in the morning, Earth time, through the quantum network that connected minds across the planet. Every member of the Terran collective felt it at the same moment. The alien empire was coming back, and they were bringing everything they had. Elena Vasquez woke instantly in her quarters aboard the orbital defense station. Through her connection to the collective, she could see what the deep space sensors had detected. A fleet of alien ships so large it looked like a moving galaxy was approaching the edge of the solar system. There were thousands of them, each one bigger and more advanced than the ships that had attacked Earth 15 years ago. Admiral Kethver commanded the invasion fleet from his flagship, a massive vessel called the Stellar Dominion. It was 10 times larger than any ship in the first invasion, armed with weapons that could crack planets and shields that had never been broken. He had spent years studying the humans' first victory, learning from the mistakes his predecessors had made. "This time will be different," he told his officers as they gathered in the command center. "We know the humans have learned to use our technology. We know they have become more dangerous than before. That is why we brought enough ships to turn their world into dust." The alien fleet was indeed impressive. Instead of 12 ships, they had brought 3,000. Instead of one type of weapon, they carried dozens of different designs. They had shields that could adapt to any attack, Computers that could think faster than any organic mind, and weapons that could destroy matter at the subatomic level. By any reasonable measure, Earth should have been doomed, but Admiral Kethver did not understand what Earth had become. He thought the humans had simply copied alien technology and made more weapons. He did not realize that they had created something entirely new, something that combined human spirit with alien science in ways that neither species had ever imagined. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Unity, as it hung in space, at the edge of the solar system. Around her, the rest of Earth's defense fleet waited silently. To an outside observer, it would have looked pathetic. Only 50 ships against 3,000. Even with their advanced technology, the numbers seemed impossible, but Elena was not worried. Through the collective network, she could feel the confidence of her fellow humans. They had spent 15 years preparing for this moment. Every ship in their fleet was a masterpiece of hybrid technology. Every pilot was connected to the quantum intelligence that spanned their entire civilization. And they had something the aliens could never understand: the absolute refusal to give up. Long-range sensors detect the enemy fleet, reported Lieutenant Kim, his voice calm despite the magnitude of what they faced. Like all collective members, he could process information faster than any normal human, seeing patterns and possibilities that would have been invisible before their integration. Elena nodded. Through her connection to the Unity, she could see the alien ships as clearly as if they were right in front of her. Each one was a fortress of weapons and armor, designed to destroy planets and conquer civilizations. But she could also see their weaknesses. The aliens had built their ships using the same principles they had always used. They were powerful but predictable. Send the message, Elena ordered. Across space, a transmission reached Admiral Kethver's flagship. It was from the strange ship that the aliens had detected waiting alone at the edge of the system. The ship looked wrong somehow, as if it existed in multiple places at once. When they tried to scan it, their instruments gave readings that made no sense. Admiral, one of his officers reported, we are receiving a communication from the human vessel. On the main screen, Admiral Kethver saw a human woman in what appeared to be a ship's command center. But the technology around her was unlike anything he had seen before. It seemed to flow and change like liquid light, responding to her thoughts rather than her touch. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran Collective, the woman said. You have made the same mistake your people made 15 years ago. You think you understand what you are facing. You do not. Admiral Kethver laughed. Human, I command 3,000 ships, each one capable of destroying your world. You have perhaps a few dozen vessels. Do you truly think you can stand against us? Elena smiled, and there was something in her expression that made the alien Admiral feel suddenly uncomfortable. Your people gave us the greatest gift possible when you left your wreckage on our world. You taught us that we were not alone in the universe. You showed us that our enemies would come whether we were ready or not. And most importantly, you left us the tools to ensure that when they came, we would be more than ready. As she spoke, something impossible began to happen. The single human ship started to multiply. 1 became 2, then 4, then 8. But these were not just copies. Each ship was occupying the same space while existing in slightly different dimensions. The alien sensors could not lock onto them because they were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Impossible, Admiral Kethver whispered. Our technology cannot do that. Your technology could not, Elena replied, but ours can. We took what you left behind and made it better. We combined your logic with our creativity, your precision with our adaptability. You created tools for conquest. We turned them into instruments of freedom. The battle began without warning. The alien fleet opened fire with every weapon they had, filling space with enough energy to boil an ocean. But when the blasts reached the human ships, something strange happened. The attacks passed right through them as if they were not there. Then the ships phased back into normal space and returned fire. The human weapons were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of simple energy beams or projectiles, they fired concentrated quantum uncertainty, attacks that existed in multiple realities at once. making them impossible to defend against. Where they struck alien ships, armor simply ceased to exist. Matter breaking down into its component atoms, Admiral Kethver watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to fall apart. His ships were designed to fight enemies who used conventional tactics and weapons. They had no defense against attacks that came from multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their shields, which had never failed before, might as well have been made of paper. How are they doing this? He demanded of his science officer. Sir, they appear to have merged their biological neural networks with our quantum processing systems, the officer replied, his voice shaking. But that should be impossible. No organic mind can interface directly with quantum computers without being destroyed. What the alien officer did not understand was that humans had not just connected their minds to alien computers. They had evolved beyond the limitations of both species. The Terran Collective was something new, organic intuition enhanced by quantum processing, human creativity guided by alien logic, individual consciousness linked to a network that spanned their entire civilization. Elena felt the battle through every sensor on every ship. She could see the alien fleet from 1,000 different angles, process their attack patterns faster than any computer, and coordinate her response with a precision that no normal military could achieve. But more than that, she could feel the determination of every human in the fleet, their shared resolve flowing through the quantum network like electricity through wire. The aliens had brought 3,000 ships, but the humans fought as if they were a single organism with 50 bodies. When one ship was threatened, the others moved to protect it before the pilot even realized the danger. When a weakness was discovered in the alien formation, every human captain exploited it simultaneously. They moved and fought with a coordination that seemed telepathic because in a very real sense it was. Retreat. Admiral Kethver finally ordered as his fleet continued to be torn apart by weapons that should not have existed. Sound the retreat. We cannot fight this. But it was too late. The human ships had positioned themselves to cut off the aliens' escape routes. Ships that could exist in multiple dimensions had surrounded the alien fleet in ways that normal space travel could not counter. The aliens found themselves trapped, their technology useless against enemies who had transcended the very rules of physics they thought were absolute. You wanted to conquer Earth, Elena's voice came across the communication channel. Instead, you gave us the tools to become something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. Your attack taught us that the universe is hostile. Your technology taught us how to survive in it. And your defeat will teach the galaxy that humanity can no longer be bullied or conquered. As the last alien ship fell silent, Elena felt a mixture of victory and sadness through the collective network. They had won, but at the cost of thousands of lives on both sides. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves. Now they had to decide what to do with their newfound power through the quantum network. Messages were already flowing between Earth and the surviving alien vessels. Not threats or demands for surrender, but something much more revolutionary. An invitation to join something greater than conquest, something that would reshape the entire galaxy. The battle was over in 20 minutes. Where once 3,000 alien warships had filled the space around Earth, now only debris floated in the darkness. But something unprecedented was happening among the wreckage. The human ships were not destroying the survivors. Instead, they were rescuing them. Admiral Kethver found himself aboard the Unity, standing in a room that seemed to be grown rather than built. The walls pulsed with soft light, and the air itself seemed alive with energy. He was not in chains or a prison cell. Instead, he stood in what appeared to be a meeting room, facing the human captain who had defeated his mighty fleet. Elena Vasquez looked at the alien admiral with eyes that glowed faintly blue from her connection to the collective. She could feel his confusion and fear through the quantum network that now linked all the survivors. But she could also sense something else, a deep exhaustion that came from centuries of conquest and war. Why did you save us? Admiral Kethver asked. His voice was heavy with defeat. Your people have every right to execute us for what we tried to do. Elena smiled sadly. Because that is not who we are, she said. We could have destroyed every one of your ships and everyone aboard them. Our weapons are certainly capable of it. But what would that accomplish? More death, more hatred. More reasons for your people to come back with even bigger fleets? Around the room, other alien officers stood or sat according to their species' customs. They came from dozens of different worlds, all united under the banner of an empire that had conquered the galaxy through fear and superior technology. But now they found themselves prisoners of a species they had tried to wipe out, and their captors were treating them with kindness instead of revenge. You do not understand, Admiral Kethver said. The Empire will never stop. Even if you defeat us, they will send more fleets. They will build bigger weapons. They will continue until your world is nothing but dust floating in space. Through the collective network, Elena could feel the thoughts and emotions of her fellow humans. They had considered this possibility during their 15 years of preparation. The galaxy was full of species that had been conquered or destroyed by empires like the one these aliens served. Earth could win every battle and still lose the war, simply because there were too many enemies and not enough defenders. That is exactly why we saved you, Elena said. Because we have a different idea about how this should end. She gestured, and the walls of the room became transparent, showing the space around Earth. The alien survivors could see human ships moving among the wreckage, pulling out escape pods and treating wounded enemies with the same care they would give their own people. Medical facilities aboard the human vessels were filled with alien patients receiving treatment from doctors who had never seen their species before but who understood biology at a quantum level. For thousands of years, your empire has grown by conquest, Elena continued. You find a weaker species, defeat their military, destroy their culture, and add their resources to your own. It has made you powerful, but it has also made you blind to other possibilities. Admiral Kethver watched as human engineers worked alongside alien survivors to repair damaged life support systems. The humans did not seem to care that these same aliens had come to destroy their world. They simply saw people in need and offered help. It was behavior that the Admiral could not understand according to everything the Empire had taught him about how the universe worked. What other possibilities? He asked. Elena's smile grew wider. We want to show you something that your empire has never tried. Instead of conquest, we offer cooperation. Instead of forced submission, we offer voluntary partnership. Instead of taking what we want by force, we offer to share what we have learned. The room around them changed, and suddenly the alien officers found themselves standing in a vast space that could not possibly fit inside any ship. Through the miracle of human-alien hybrid technology, they were experiencing a virtual environment that felt completely real. Around them, holographic displays showed star maps, technical specifications, and most impossibly, the complete plans for the quantum consciousness network that linked the Terran collective. This is everything, Elena said, her arms spread wide to encompass the infinite data surrounding them. Every scientific breakthrough we have made. Every technological advancement we have achieved. Every secret of how we merged your people's logic with our creativity. We are offering to share all of it freely with anyone who wants to join us. The alien officers stared in shock at what they were seeing. The humans were showing them technology that was decades ahead of anything the Empire possessed. Ships that could exist in multiple dimensions. Weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. Medical techniques that could cure diseases and repair injuries that had been considered impossible to heal. And they were offering to give it all away. This is a trick, Admiral Kethver said, but his voice lacked conviction. No species gives away their greatest advantages. We are not giving them away, Elena replied. We are sharing them. There is a difference. When you share knowledge, everyone becomes stronger. When you hoard it, you become isolated and eventually fall behind. She gestured again, and the display changed to show recordings from Earth over the past 15 years. The aliens watched as humans and their artificial intelligence worked together to rebuild their world. They saw cities that grew like living things, powered by clean energy that came from the quantum structure of space itself. They saw people who had been enhanced by alien technology, but who remained fundamentally human in their values and dreams. "We learned something important from your first attack," Elena continued. "We learned that we are not alone in the universe and that we need to be ready to defend ourselves. But we also learned that your technology, combined with our way of thinking, could create something better than either of our species had achieved alone." The display showed the battle they had just fought, but from a different perspective. Instead of focusing on the destruction, it showed how human ships had immediately moved to rescue survivors. It showed alien wounded being treated in human medical bays. It showed enemy prisoners being offered food, shelter, and most incredibly, the chance to understand how their defeat had been accomplished. "You are offering to teach us how you defeated us?" asked Commander Yelan, Admiral Kethver's second-in-command. She was from a species that looked like humanoid birds, with feathers that changed color according to her emotions. Right now, they were shifting through shades of confusion and amazement. "We are offering to teach you how we can work together," Elena corrected. "Your people have knowledge and skills that we lack. You understand parts of science that we have not explored. You have experience with technologies that we have never seen. If we combine what you know with what we have learned, imagine what we could accomplish." Through the quantum network, the alien officers could feel something they had never experienced before: the shared consciousness of an entire civilization working toward common goals. They could sense the humans' genuine desire for peace, their willingness to trust former enemies, and their excitement about the possibilities that cooperation could bring. Admiral Kethver was quiet for a long time, processing what he had seen and felt. His entire worldview was being challenged. The Empire had taught him that the universe was a hostile place where only the strong survived, where cooperation was weakness and trust was foolishness. But here were beings who had defeated his fleet through cooperation, who offered trust to their enemies, and who seemed to grow stronger by sharing their power rather than hoarding it. "What about the Empire?" he finally asked. "What happens when they learn what you have offered us?" Elena's expression grew serious. "That depends on what you and your people choose to do. You can return to the Empire and tell them about our technology, and they will probably build bigger fleets to try to take it by force. Or you can stay and help us build something better. A federation of willing partners instead of an empire of conquered slaves." Over the following weeks, something amazing happened throughout the galaxy. The alien survivors who had experienced the Terran Collective began to spread word of what they had seen. Some returned to the Empire, as Elena had predicted, describing the incredible technology and the impossible offer of free sharing. But others chose to stay, becoming the first non-human members of humanity's growing alliance. The change was not immediate, and it was not easy. Many species had been enemies for so long that cooperation seemed impossible. Some civilizations were too proud to accept help from others. Some governments feared losing power if their people learned about alternatives to conquest and oppression, but the idea spread like a virus through the galactic communication networks. For the first time in thousands of years, species that had been forced to choose between submission and destruction were offered a third option: partnership. The Terran Collective grew, not through conquest but through invitation. Each new member brought their own knowledge and abilities, making the whole alliance stronger and more capable. 100 years later, historians would mark the Battle of Earth as the moment when the galaxy changed forever. Not because humanity had